Alright, I'm going to try to work through this. It's been hot for a while, my brain is kind of fried, which is weird because I haven't really done anything useful today, but this height just happens to be really comfortable. 30 inches would be about right. So if I do keyboard tray at 30 inches, what I want to do, and the easiest thing is to use the ones that are back there from prototypes. Yeah, this is too high to type, but it would be really nice to have a laptop about that high. That's kind of what I'm thinking, is just make the tabletop where it should be. And then do a keyboard tray that's bigger. Not bad. Kind of level and straight. Good enough. One of these nicely pre-cut pieces, right? Ta-da! It's easy. But it looks good. You know, not especially good, but this should be 30 inches off the floor. Yep. It's actually 30 and a half. Gives me lots of room over my lap, so if I slide in, this piece will be probably a 2x2 instead of a 2x4. That's 6 inches, okay. I can do a row of buttons across here. I can do displays. I think the Raspberry Pi 7-inch display would fit within that. It's 7 inches diagonally. It probably would fit nicely there. Also, I've got enough room. I'm used to working with smaller space, so I could have 2 keyboards and mice here, or trackballs or whatever, and the 2 laptops, and then above it I could have the big screen. When I have power, I could run the big screen if I wanted to. You know, a keyboard is only about this big. I got room to move it around a little bit. Keyboard, mouse, coffee, you know. I could do a coffee cup holder here and maybe lay speakers into this section. This will give me the depth and the width that I didn't have most of the other places because I couldn't do the stair step. And practically everything needs to be here, right? You know, you get 2 or 3 drinks, 2 phones, power strips, power adapters, hard drives, sleeping laptop. Yeah, it's doing its thing, it's moving itself around. So I need the space. And this kind of stuff, just chews it up. That now, the power strip doesn't have to be visible. It can be under a shelf. That's kind of the thing. Oh, yeah, I was going to do it before and after, before I gutted the desk. Anyway, everything, it didn't really look as impressive as it was supposed to. At the moment, everything's sitting up on top. All right. This is part of the brilliance of this idea. I don't know if brilliance is the best word either, but the desk itself will be freestanding, but the shelf above it, at the moment at least, is attached to the wall, and I think I like that idea. This guy for now is redundant. Tight bond, original. That's glue. Any side I like. You know, because if you've got a nailing gun, why wouldn't you use it in the office? These are short nails, so should be perfect. Boom! Alright, once again, the camera quit running. I didn't see it happen. So, here we go. So what I'm playing with here, mind the pile of dangerous things on the floor. Tabletop is done. It's on the high side, but I kind of wanted it to be high. One thing I was looking at one point was, could I use this as a stand-up desk? It's actually pretty close, okay? So that's an option. I wanted it kind of high. Also, my view out the window, while not stunning, is nice, right? If I'm sitting down low, like with the white table, with the chair at the height that it was so low that I really couldn't see out the window. I could see up, but not down, where, you know, everything is. But if I have the keyboard tray with the trackball or a mouse, that's not as deep as it's going to be, but it's about the right height. Because the tabletop is so high and then the monitors are higher again, that will let me raise the chair. So I threw a pillow on here just to try it out. This gives me, by putting the laptop, and I've got multiple laptops that'll be getting used, on top, I've got all this table spot where I've got like stacks of hard drives, memory card readers, and so on that can get pushed back underneath here. The USB hub that everything is plugged into can sit underneath. So I got lots of room, push it out of the way. I've got basically space here that doesn't have to be used for anything. Okay, so I can have my coffee cup or whatever sitting close by. The monitor of the laptop is up at a decent height for me to see. I got room for the fan, speakers, and then keyboard down below. This is like the end piece on the stack. They always kind of lightly paint it to weatherproof. There's a few pieces on my floor that have that same green on them. I figured, hey, let's just leave that on there for the shelf. So anyway, I just felt like this was just a little bit too bouncy because I like to type, and I type a lot. And if the keyboard bounces, it just really messes with you. So we'll zip a couple clamps on here. Since I got them close by, why not use them, right? And these are 2-inch nails, so they are not coming through. I just wanted to make a brief social comment. Okay, so a Raspberry Pi is just an amazing little computer. All right, that's it. That is the computer. That is it. In fact, it comes in a removable case. Ooh, it's dirty. So when you buy a Pi, that is it. This is it. You know, that's it. You got an Ethernet port, some USB ports, HDMI port. Power comes in through a USB port. You can run speaker jack here. One of these is a dedicated display for you can buy its own little tiny display that works on that. You can have a camera that plugs into here, but that is the entire computer. That is it. I keep saying that is it, but you get the idea. Okay. It boots off of a micro SD card, so it doesn't even have a hard drive. It doesn't need one. It'll just boot off of that, and then it runs kind of a form of Linux. So from that, then you need a power supply. I'm going to kind of bring these into the picture one at a time here if I can. I've got the power supply for it, like so. You know, your basic wall wart because it runs off a USB. It needs a couple amps, something like that. So I got that on a power strip. The other part is, this one is for running this monitor. And this cord is for a powered USB port because the Pi doesn't deliver a lot of power. For what I'm going to do, most of the time I'm going to run it on SSDs, but if I need a hard drive, it needs a little more power. So one of the things that a Raspberry Pi can do is share files with other computers. So I set it up with an SSD. This is a Kingston brand, 240 gigs. All right, that's also pretty small, and I got that because it doesn't use very much power, so that can run off of the Pi directly. But if I add any more drives, then the Pi doesn't have enough power. So in fact, a lot of these things, the weight of the cable is more than the weight of the device. So I've got a USB port or a USB hub. I'll plug that in. And then that has its own power. And this is also ridiculous, but that's just the way it worked out. Somewhere on the end of here. This is the power brick that powers this powered hub, right? And that's pretty much all I need for right now, but for instance, this is a typical Western Digital Passport hard drive. I can plug that in. You can see it's bigger and thicker than the SSD. This will not run off of here. It doesn't give it enough power, so then I got to plug it in to that. All right. I'm not going to use that today. And then you need some kind of display, so I picked up that one. It runs on HDMI. Typical HDMI cable is 6 feet long, right? So here's the end of the cable. It'll plug in. But it's like you start off with something that's this, and then you end up with like literally half a suitcase, it feels like, of all the stuff. Now, if I remove all of the loose cables, I can get it down pretty small. But what's neat though, the Raspberry Pi is about $35 approximately. Yeah, that's it. They made these specifically for places like Africa or other parts of the world, or just inner city kids that can't afford a laptop. Pretty much anybody can get enough, come up with $35 to buy their own little Raspberry Pi. It's running a type of Linux, which is a free operating system. You can get on the internet with it. You can learn how to program. You can run things like Python, which is a programming language for it. It's an amazing little computer. You can also play videos on it. So I can get on YouTube and I can watch videos if I had internet out here. What I use it for a lot, because it doesn't use very much electricity, I'm able to run that and do all my video logins, all the videos that I shoot. I can look at on here. Oh, and also you need a keyboard and mouse, so I'll plug that in a minute. So I use a full-size keyboard and mouse, but I've seen people use littler keyboards for it. So you plug in your keyboard and mouse and all these other accessories, and then you can get to work. Now, I'm working with video files, so I need a lot of storage. If you didn't need that, yeah, you don't have to do that. You can take a little USB jump drive. In fact, you can set this up. I think you can run a 64 gig card as the main boot drive. So you could store a lot of stuff just on the little micro SD card that's on there. If you put a bigger one in, that's got a 32 in there now. That just doesn't get me very far on what I do. So also, because I'm going to be logging footage, I want to be able to look at it, type my notes, and then take this drive, or actually it'll be a different drive, and then move over to a different computer to finish editing. But this uses so much less power that it makes sense to do the logging on here, and then when I'm ready to actually edit, then I move to the bigger computer that uses more power. Yeah, it strikes me as funny because this is why I end up needing such a big desk. Because I need, what I'm working to do here is all of this stuff that you don't need to see. I want to push it behind where I can flip up something and get to it when I want to, and then close it and not look at it anymore. I very likely will make some kind of doors. Think about like in your car, you got a little glove compartment that the door opens up and you can reach in and then close it again, something like that. Or, little cupboards. So all of this stuff I want to hide, and then I'll just have this where I can kind of see it, because you need to see the lights blinking sometimes. It just makes you feel like you're using a real computer, but otherwise I don't need access to most of it. So I'll just push it out of the way and we'll be set. Behold the brilliance. Yes. No signal. Oh, one more signal. Yeah, I was like, okay, I got power coming out of the port but not going anywhere. All right. Everything but one thing, right? Let's try it that way. See, I need the light on the front. Pi coming on, 4 cores, 4 raspberries. That's what that means. It's actually a multi-core processor. It boots faster than any of my Windows computers by far. Now, it doesn't have any power. It's not a massively, complex computer, but it also doesn't have its own clock, which seems funny. So you have to set the clock every time you use it. 1:57, July 24th. All right. I just got to get a shot of this. Now what I really need to do is figure out how to accurately measure the total distance because it is freaking spot on right now. I'm like, that's just freaking hilarious. It is so freaking comfortable. So, yeah. I've been just sitting there, and I kind of almost forgot. It's like, oh, because I'm like all gingerly trying to get onto it, right? Because you can't really move once you're on there because you're just perched, right? Office chair, done. Side table, done. I think that'll work.